Greetings. This is the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad to join you again for another midweek manna. It is Wednesday. Again, I do remind you all, if you have not subscribed, to subscribe to jgministries.net. I appreciate those of you who have subscribed. Remember, we're going to be doing some raffles and giveaways. This past Saturday at our church back to school giveaway, we raffled off a tablet. And there are more gifts to be given out. And so continue to follow and subscribe our ministries. Today, I want to talk about something that I think is really important and really interested, not just in the life of the church, but in life in general. I want to talk about precautionary measures. Have you ever found yourself at a place where you were dealing with something, you experienced some trauma, and after experiencing the trauma, after recovering, after the loss of a loved one, you went right back to work, right back in place, right back in position, and you felt like nobody checked on you? There were no precautionary measures put in place. It's here in this story in 1 Kings chapter 19 that the prophet Elijah goes and sits underneath the tree. After being obedient to the commands of the Lord and doing what God had instructed him to do, now Jezebel is out after his life. And so he goes and sits underneath a tree and says, I'd rather die. The angel visits him and tells him to rest and eat. Rest and eat. And then the Lord says to him later on in verse 15, go continue on in your journey to the wilderness. And I have no issue with God telling him to continue on in his journey. But the struggle I have is, where was the check-in? Before he went back to doing the work, who checked in to make sure that he was ready to do the work? Sometimes the struggle is that we find ourselves after trauma just getting back into things without doing a proper check-in to make sure that we are ready and equipped emotionally and mentally to serve. And because of that, when we don't do a proper check-in, we tend to still bleed on folks, or we tend to put people back in position before they're ready. And then 6 months later on down the line, there's burnout, there's exhaustion. We have to set proper precautionary measures to make sure that we are concerned about people and make sure that we are addressing their trauma before we allow them to continue to serve or allow them to continue to work, to check in with them, to make sure they're ready for this. I know somebody's probably saying, why? That ain't my job. It is. If you care about people, you will check on them. If you care about people, you will be concerned about them. If you care about them, you won't allow them just to go back to their normal routines after they have experienced trauma. There has to be a new normal that is created. That term we used a lot after the pandemic. We talked about new norms, but then a lot of us found ourselves in a place where we were back to the old norms. We have to set precautionary measures when we go through things so that we can be stronger, so that we can be better and more effective, and so that God can use us in the best way possible. Be blessed is my fervent prayer for you today.